Coach Hill, just overall, you talk so much about culture.
Yeah.
Guys, coaches talk about it all the time. Only you guys, South Dakota State and North Dakota State, have been able to beat multiple ranked teams, 10 or more, since really the COVID year in 2020. What is it about your culture and knowing you guys can go up against anybody and feel like whoever you see on your schedule, that's a team that not only you guys can compete with, but knock off?
Yeah, I think when it comes to, number one, you're going to play a lot of ranked teams when you play our schedule, so you got the opportunity, and then you have to believe. I think in this day and age, a lot of guys, it's not false confidence, but they talk about it. But I think with the work that these guys put in, and when we talk about that a lot, is then you got to go out there and earn it. And so obviously, seeing the success that we've had and some of those big successful wins, and then whether you're a freshman on those sidelines and you see that success. I go back to the years that I was here, in 2004 to 2007. I was able to stand on the sidelines and watch some of that, and then that becomes an expectation when you get your shot. It's not wow, we won one of these games. It's an expectation every time to go out there and hold yourself to that standard. So I think it's first, some of that early, back in 2019 when we won 5 in a row and we beat some really good teams. And then, and I think now that we've got guys that have been in this program for a long time, it becomes an expectation.
You have 31 guys on your roster there in their 5th or 6th year. In terms of the makeup of experienced guys, young guys you're trying to bring along, do you like the makeup of this group in terms of how your roster break down in terms of the experience?
Yeah, I really do. I think in this day and age, in this transfer portal and things, you're always going to have a relatively more new guys than I'd say in the past, where it was all your new guys were freshmen. Now, FCS-wise, you always had a handful of transfers that were going to drop down, but now it's more. And I think that's why the spring, if you can get them here in the spring and the summer, is so key of just bringing your team together. And training camp is important, just of the expectations, the standards. Everybody's going to have a different way of practicing, but when you can keep a core together of guys that have been here and they can model the way, I think it's super important. So you always want a good mix of veteran players and then that youthful juice that, it's new and they're super excited. Everything is the first time they've done it. And that kind of energizes you as a coach too. When you've got a good mix of veterans, but you got the young guys that you're just, constantly teaching, not only on the field, but where things are at. And so I like the group. I really do. I think we've got a 6-year senior quarterback, and we've got veterans, and then we've got some young guys, and then we have some new transfers, whether they're older or younger. We'll get the opportunity to help this team.
We touched up on it day one. One of the key words that you've said is finish, being able to finish those games because you were right there a year ago. You even said to your guys in practice, I believe it was yesterday or 2 days ago, look, when you get late in practice, don't show any fatigue.
Right.
Be able to finish those games. In the Valley, there's been 5 one-point games since 2017. You've been in 4 of those 5, which is kind of crazy to think. But why is that just such an important thing of hammering to your guys now and often during camp of those little things, just as term of body language and how they look late in practice?
Yeah, you're never going to deny the fact that you're going to be tired. It's just not letting it show and having the mental capacity to say it's not going to affect how I perform. The details can't go by the wayside when you're tired. And late in the games, you're going to be tired. You're going to be banged up, and it's about can you still execute at a super high level, the little details that'll cost you late in the games. And I think it's we're still getting there. I think we took 2 days in helmets, and then we took a day off. Today was the first day in shoulder pads. You could see out there in the heat that late in practice, but we got to just continue on an upward trajectory. If day 3 we felt like, man, we're right there, then I don't know, I'd be a little scared. So we just got constant improvement, and just hammering home what's important to us on a daily basis.
When you look just from an offensive perspective, so much does come down to how strong you are going to be up front. A year ago, you had injuries and experience. I think out of your 19 linemen on the roster last year, 10 of them were redshirt freshmen or freshmen. How much more experience is that group going through a year like last year is going to help them, and then intermixing some of those guys with the veteran leadership and even some of the younger guys?
Yeah, no, I think I like our group up front. Probably as good as I've liked a group since I've been here. We obviously lose Bo, who had played a lot of football games for us, Branyan. But, you know, Chase and Coggle and Jake Green and Abdu, you know, started the games that he started. We won all 5 games, you know, one at a Big Ten school. And then Noah Finsky adding him with his experience where he's been. There's more competition now. When we put out our 2 offensive linemen, it's the best second group behind them. And I think that's just Coach Clark's done an unbelievable job, how we've recruited and then just kept the group together, you know, and none of them are in their last year of eligibility. And that's where you want to get to as far as up front, you know, guys that are here that are experienced. Their first and second year guys are growing and getting better, and if you've got to play a young guy, maybe it's later in the season and if you know, through an injury or something, they get ready to go. But I like those guys. They put their head down. They're workers. There's 0 issues. They got the highest GPA, I think, on the team in that room. So I like where we're at.
I know running the football, Javon Williams was such a big part of what you guys did. Ro Elliott's been here for a long time. I know a lot of people like what LaShawn can bring. Justin, when he's been healthy, has been key. In that room, is there a stable there? Do you like what the stable looks like in terms of being able to run the ball?
Yeah, I do. I think that those guys are all experienced guys for us. LaShawn getting his feet wet last year and showing that he could be a really good player here. And then adding Jalen Benefield from Eastern Illinois. Has really been, you know, he can do a few different things, you know, as far as things out of the backfield and at the receiver position. So we feel good where we're at. I've told those guys, I mean, competition, you know, really brings out the best in you. And we've got to find a couple guys that can go, you know, that 18 to 25 carries in a game. And so the competition's good. It's a good group too. Larry Warner, as far as them being teammates, you know, Justin and Roe have been here now 4 or 5 years together, so they understand, you know, splitting some reps, and they cheer for each other. And so we definitely have the stable of backs, you know, and it's just a kind of who comes out of that thing on top, and then in the season we're going to need them all.
Historically, you've had so many great players here, just regardless of position, but it always seems like under your tenure, you've had some dominant wide receivers, from Landon Lenore, obviously Avante the last couple of years, Deontay being back, his twin brother. In that room, that expectation feels like it's been set year after year after year. Can that expectation continue for that position?
I think so. I mean, it's early, but I mean, we're probably as explosive at wide receiver as we've been as far as the pure speed and playmaking ability. I think, you know, we've all been around Isaiah enough to know the player that he can be. You know, when he played as a freshman, redshirt freshman, and then missing him all last year, but you know, having him here all spring and summer, I mean, he's a top guy, you know, for us, and we've known we've had him. And then Vincent Davis has come here and really just been, as far as a transfer goes, he's exactly what you would want. I mean, as far as off the field, he's a joy to be around. He's an extremely hard worker, and he's a pretty dynamic player. So we're excited to add him. Jathan Jones and Zach Gibson continue to get better. They've both been on the field. Zach has been on the field for some really key moments in his career. And so we've got good depth, and we have you know, some speed. They've got to stay healthy. You know, that's always key at that position. When you feel like you got 1 or 2 and 1 or 2 of them get banged up, and you've got to change what you do. So you always want to have a deep room. Really, you do everywhere. There's going to be a position or 2 that you're thin, but we feel like we have good depth at the wide receiver room.
My final thing for you today, a year ago, you were so good at taking care of the football. You as coaches may want to take all the credit. It is something that you do coach a lot in practice, whether it's specific drills of ball security. just really the key to continuing that this year. And of course, one of the biggest areas you said you want to see improvement is taking the ball away. You were very good at making sure you weren't having giveaways, but having more takeaways this year I know is a priority for you.
Yeah, when you look at games, I mean, every coach before the game, or it's win the turnover margin, and so we were so good at taking it away a couple years ago, and we turned it over too much, and then last year we took care of it really well. We just didn't take it away very much, and so we've got to find a balance in that. It's if a coach knew exactly how to get that done, we would all be for sure doing that. But it comes down to the concentration. It starts with the quarterback. It's in your hand every single play, making great decisions with the football, when to know to be aggressive and when not. And then our backs did a great job with just the fundamentals in between the tackles, and we can't take that for granted on any play. We had one, we had a third down rack today, and it'll be a great teaching moment for us that we picked up the first down, and the defense did a great job coming from behind, getting a strip. And those are the plays that you want to happen in practice, so you can. They're just great teaching moments in the team setting to show how important if that happens in the fourth quarter, that's winning and losing you a ball game. And so we've got to continue to just emphasize it. We talk about the ball really is the program. If the number one thing is turnover margin, then we have to be thinking about it at all times, whether it's protecting it or taking it away.
Well, my final question to you. You put the guys through a name test yesterday. One of the keys to doing that is just getting familiar with one another. One, not just for the guys, but the whole program. I'm sure, one, you got 100% on it. Yeah. But two, why that was something you really wanted to do and how it's really a good team bonding exercise.
Yeah, I think we always change up kind of our team building throughout camp. We usually have 6 or 8 sessions at night where we get together and we do different activities. We do some all kinds of different things, but it is talking in the offseason, just the importance of calling somebody by name. And that just doesn't go for our players. It goes for, knowing your name. We talk about how it just makes you feel like you're connected. If I'm talking to you and I call you, thanks Luke, that goes a long way. And so whether you're a 6-year senior and he's a new freshman, just because you're an offensive lineman and he's a D-back, you see him in the hallways, you're a teammate, you want to know not just his nickname or just you think you know their name, but then it's like, let's get to know each other, interesting facts and something to connect with. I talk a lot about, somebody has something interesting about them that you don't know about, and I try to do that in the team meetings too, because I know them probably the best, but something that the team would want to know that they just haven't maybe shared. And it's really about a connected team. We can talk about that all the time, culture, being a positive team, being the most connected. Well, we've got to facilitate that as coaches to really connect them on a deeper level.